Hello, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in with me again today. My name is Oren, and if you follow me a bit on the MTG Salvation forums, you'll know that I said that I was actually going to try to test this new sort of next step in the Cryptic Delver evolution, which is Ancestral Delver. If any of you are following some of the big tournaments, in Grand Prix Vancouver, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'll definitely provide the link for you to the deck list in the description. Uh, but it actually played a combination of Delver of Secrets, Ancestral Vision, and Cryptic Command all in the main deck. And the idea was to have, I guess, this diversification of threats attack different decks at different angles. Because Delver and Ancestral are both very strong cards on their own. But the issue, in my opinion, when I first saw the deck, I didn't know quite how it would work. Like, if you have Ancestral and Delver in your opening hand and it's the first turn of the game, what do you do? And so I tried the list. I made my own few tweaks, and I saw if maybe I could get some good results with the deck. So before I wanted to make content for you guys, I just wanted to get familiar with it. And I ran it in a modern competitive league, and I did rather poorly. A bit of that was due to variance. I mean, I had to mulligan to 5 against Ad Nauseam, which can actually be a very good matchup for us with all of our counter spells in the sideboard and our collective brutalities and our main deck. I actually won game 1, and then I lost the sideboard games due to some poor mulligans. But the thing, the other two games that I lost, they were issues with sort of synergy. The deck felt like it was running on two different axes, and you weren't always sure which role to play. And so maybe that's just my inexperience with the deck, but I felt that there were too many decisions that you can get very easily punished for, especially when the decision isn't quite clear from the board state. So maybe it just requires a very skilled pilot to run the deck, but I feel that the deck is not where we want to take the next evolution of Grixis Delver, Cryptic Grixis Delver. So for those of you that were excited to see this list in action, let me know if you still want to see it, because I'll run it through a modern competitive league for you guys just to record it. But I personally don't like the deck too much, which is why we'll move over to my next evolution in the Cryptic Delver Control, which you can see right here. So I actually decided to keep the 4 cryptic commands. I know in my previous lists, if you follow me on the forums, like I said, I posted some lists that went down to 3 cryptic command, and I don't like the decision too much. I really really like cryptic command. I think it's a fantastic card. I think it's so versatile, and once you get up to 4 mana, there's just so much you can do with it. So that's why I really love cryptic command. But let's talk some of the changes from my previous list, from the testing that I've done. I took some notes from the Grand Prix results. I think Corey Burkhart, he got 19th place with straight Grixis control, and he changed his 2 mana counterspell suite a little. Not too much, but it is pretty spicy. He went for 1 counter squall, 1 logic knot. And from my original testing, I was like, you know what? I'm still not a fan of counter squall in the Grixis Delver build. But I ended up facing a lot of grindy decks where Mana Leak was so poor in the late game that Counter Squall would have been amazing. Um, and then the one of Logic Knot might seem like a non-bow with all of our other Del spells, with all the Snapcaster mages, but it actually doesn't fight for graveyard space that much. And I was able to successfully pull off turn 2 Logic Knots for like X equals 1. And it was just like a 4 spike, and then late game I was able to do it for like X equals 7. So I think it's a really good card, much better than Mana Leak, and it can also counter non-creature spells. And so while it doesn't ding our opponent for 2 damage like Counter Squall, it can hit expensive or non-expensive or expensive creature spells. So just that versatility, I really enjoy. Double blue on turn 2 we pull off very frequently. So that's not one of the downsides. Now, of course, if we're up against an aggressive deck and we don't want to shock, that can be an issue to get the double blue up on turn 2. But with that said, I think there's so many positives to Logic Knot that I think it's worth running. One more change that you'll see here, I took down one Thought Scour because while it is a cantrip, I really didn't enjoy how there's no selection with it. So there are a lot of times where I would draw these cards that I really don't need. And yes, it fuels our 4 delve spells, but 3 is just fine. I don't like drawing too many of them and relying on them to hit land drops or to hit threats, because it's really just a complete shot in the dark. So we're down to 3, and what we replaced is a third Fatal Push. And the reason being for that third Fatal Push is because there are a lot of aggressive decks right now. I think with the spike in Eldrazi Tron and other Tron variants, other people are trying to attack the metagame from a certain angle. With Death Shadow Zoo, with Revolt Zoo, Bushwhacker Zoo is what I was referring to. There's just a lot of decks that really deal a lot of damage in the first 2 or 3 turns. And then, of course, still burn, which is not always a good matchup for us. So I really am liking this third Fatal Push. Now, it feels pretty bad in the mirror matches where I would definitely love to have a third Terminate. But I think Fatal Push is good enough in a lot of matchups that it's worth running the third. And we'll see today if I totally punt with it. But that's my train of thought for jumping up to the third Fatal Push. This could very easily be a Murderous Cut or a Terminate, but I don't like running 5 Delve spells. So we'd probably have to replace this Logic Knot if we were to run Murderous Cut or anything like that. And then one last change I made to the deck list. The mana base is almost identical, but I did make two kind of significant changes. So first of all, I cut the Bloodstained Mire and the Sulphur Falls. I think I was too hung up on always hitting turn 4 Cryptic when I should have been more focused on surviving the early game. Cryptic Man is great if you can get to it, but if you have to shock into Watery Grave and then shock into Steam Vents the following turn to cast the Bolt, to cast the Push, there's no guarantee that you're actually going to make it to cast Cryptic Command because of your life total. So I really felt that against some of the more aggressive decks in the format, which is why I cut the Mire, I cut the Sulphur Falls, and replaced it with 2 fast lands, so Spirebuff Canal and Darkslick Shores. And yes, these cards are really, really annoying when you're trying to cast a turn 4 Cryptic and that's the land that you draw. I'm sure that will happen sometimes, but in my opinion, I think the upside of playing these on turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, without dealing ourselves any damage, just really outweighs the potential tempo loss from Cryptic Command. That's my train of thought. We'll see how it plays out. Of course, we'll run this through a modern competitive league like I always do, and hopefully we'll do well. Let's talk about the sideboard a little, because I also made some significant changes from the previous list. What you'll see here is that I actually took out all of the surgical extractions. Now here's why. Yes, it's really good against Griselbrand. Yes, it's really strong against really fast graveyard decks. But I found myself siding it in less and less and less in a lot of matchups. Even in the Dredge matchup, it's not fantastic. It takes out one of their threats, sure. I was underwhelmed with it. I thought it could be used, those slots could be used in a much better manner to attack the metagame currently. So with that said, no more surgical extractions. You'll also see no more Ancestral Vision. I'm opting to go for the more quote-unquote grindier package. So let me pull it out for you. We've got a PN Kiran Alar, just a really good value card, gums up the board, and can be easily recurred with Kolaghan's Command for more value. Next, we have Keranos, God of Storms. This card has kind of fallen off the radar a little bit lately, but I found that this card really helps us when we take the control role. We tend to side out the Delvers, Um, and then what are we playing towards? Yeah, landing the Tassiger that can easily get terminated or anything like that, or Liliana, So Keranos is this kind of threat that stays on the board, and it's something really, really powerful to play towards. Now, of course, it's very poor when you're behind, but if you can keep up your tempo and just slam it, I think it is a much stronger card than, say, Ancestral Vision in some matchups. And even if they take it with, like something like Thoughtseize or make it discard in any other way, the fact that you can, get it back with Kolaghan's Command, or even like Thought Scour yourself and mill it and then get it back with Kolaghan's Command, I really, really do enjoy that. That recursive, grindy element. And then the last card for the package, we still want some card draw in the form of Painful Truths. Now, in general, we weren't really playing Ancestral in the burn matchup. In my opinion, it's a card you should probably be sideboarding out. So replacing it with a draw spell that deals you damage doesn't really hurt, because you're bringing this card into matchups where your life total doesn't really matter, where it's all about card advantage. And so we'll use our life as a resource. And I do like Painful Truths, I think. While it's a bit tougher on the tempo, in the sense that you can just, suspend Ancestral Vision and just go to just continue passing, playing the control game, and just drawing and then fighting over it later. I think the fact that you can play Painful Truths the turn you draw it, in the late game where it's really grindy and say you didn't get your turn one Ancestral, I think that's where Painful Truth shines, and I think that's why we're going to play it. And it can also be Snap Painful Truth if you ever get to that point. So that's definitely a plus for it. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not confident that this package is better than 3 Ancestral Vision, but I do like the diversification of card advantage tools. Ancestral Vision is really strong against the heavy discard decks. It's really good against Lantern Control. So we'll see if this sideboard package is really as good as we might think it's going to be. Alright, so let's move on. We still have the 3 Fulminators. We have an Izzet Staticaster. 2 more changes. I don't remember if we had Anger of the Gods in the previous list, but we're running our 2 sweepers are Anger of the Gods and Damnation. With the rise in these fast aggro decks, I really like having this sweeper setup. Damnation is very strong. I really have been liking how well it's been so far. And then, of course, another spice we have is Kalidas. I really like Kalidas. Not only can you bring it in say, the burn matchup, like you control the game up until then, and then you just slam it, it really takes over the game. They have to point burn spells at it, if they really want to stay in the game. So another reason I really liked it is because graveyard decks, like Abza and Company, have actually been causing me a bit of trouble. And especially if they don't see Delver game 1, they might side out a lot of their removal elements in the form of either their creatures like Fiend Hunter or something like that, or if they're running Path to Exiles. So this card, when you slam it down in the sideboard games, it could really be lights out, especially if you have enough mana to already use some of your cheap removal like Bolt and Fatal Push. It's just really, really strong, and I've really been enjoying Kalidas' performance. It's a versatile card, it's a finisher, it's kind of all in one, and I really enjoy it. Next, we're up 2 Dispels, 1 Negate. Like we've talked before, I'm going for Negate because we're already running 1 Counter Squall in the main deck, and turns where you have to double Counter Squall can be really painful on the mana base. Sometimes you just don't get there because you don't have double black. So that's why I like Negate, because you usually can get double blue to do Counter Squall plus Negate. And then I've been really liking Dispel lately. Definitely going up to 2 in the meta. I think it's just a really cheap, good interaction spell. And then, of course, we have 2 Collective Brutalities. I really love this card. Good against Burn, good against Combo. So I think it's a strong sideboard that can attack a lot of different decks, a lot of angles. The only deck I'm worried about, the only thing I'm worried about with this sideboard is worrying that maybe our Surgicals will be missed. And if they are, I'll tune accordingly in the future. but I think attacking graveyard decks like Living End or Grishelbrand would be better with the Collective Brutality and the Dispel route. Whereas Dredge, we can clean up the board with Anger of the Gods, or try to use Kalitas and remove their threats. Now that's a little slower than, say, Surgical on Prized Amalgam, but I think that plan will do the trick. So yeah, that's the deck. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, and we're gonna run it through a Modern Competitive League. Don't forget, let me know if you still want to see the Ancestral Delver gameplay. I didn't record the first Modern Competitive League that I did with it, but I can definitely try to record another one in the future if there's enough interest for it. But like I said, I didn't personally like it. But if you want to see it, I will provide that. Alright, so thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate your time, and I will see you in the first match of this Modern Competitive League. See you soon. Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to this first match in this Modern Competitive League. Looks like we won the die roll, so we will go ahead and play first. Take a look at our hand here. Ooh, this is a tough one, because we've got the turn 1 Delver. We have a second land, so this could be a good hand. The issue is we don't have a third land for Kolaghan's command, and we're very far off from being able to cast this Tasigur. And of course, we got these 2 cryptic commands. This is tough. I want to say it's a keep, but if we get hit by like a lightning bolt, it could be rough. I'll go ahead and say keep. We are lacking a bit of interaction though, and hopefully we can push the Delver advantage, draw some lands. Our opponent's going down to 6. And now they're keeping their 6. Alright, so let's run out this Delver of Secrets and see how well it can do for us. Oh boy. The old burn. The old burn. Or, could be Jund. Wild Nikadal. We really want to flip Delver right here. Maybe. No. That just feels pretty bad. Okay, so we'll go ahead and play Watergrave tapped and pass. This could get really ugly very soon. If this is like Revolt Zoo, and they just jam a Burning Tree Emissary here, we could be in a really tough position. Goblin Guide. Okay. We're getting smacked for a bunch here. Oh boy. Oh, this is very feel bad. Alright. We get a land. What else was revealed? Another Cryptic. And I think we're just going to take all the damage here, because we know we're flipping Delver. Yes. And now the question is, do we trade and then K command? Thing is, now we're not. If we don't play Cryptic now, we're not playing a turn 4. I mean, if we don't play Tarpit right now, we're likely not playing a turn 4 Cryptic command. With that said, I think it's important right now to preserve our life total. A Tarka's command could be really bad, like it could be a real big blowout, but they're low on cards. The chances that they have it aren't necessarily that large. Alright, let's see. Say okay. Let's reveal a Logic Knot on the top. Yep, another Logic Knot. We'll go ahead and go to blocks here. We'll say okay. If they just say okay, then now this is where we're going to try to K command to make them discard and get rid of one of these Goblin Guides. Now, of course, if they Atarka's command, yeah, my guess is this game is pretty over. This was probably a mistake to keep. I thought it could be good against a non-aggressive deck, but I think we're dead, right? Because we can't cast Cryptic. We can't even cast Tasigur. And we're sitting with a Logic Knot in hand. Yeah, so we're dead on board here. So let's go to sideboarding. That was a pretty quick match. Felt pretty bad. All right, Collective Brutality. Great card. Anger. Great card. Damnation. Great card. I don't like Is It Staticaster? PN Kieran could be a good choice. Let's see if we can take other things out, though. Kalidas could be solid in the late game. And then, of course, there's Dispels and Negates. I think Negate's too slow. Dispel has some merit. So what we're going to do here is we'll cut Counter Squall. It's just a little too slow. Spell Snare. I mean, we only saw a bunch of 1-drops, but we know that those decks can play a lot of 2-drops too. We'll cut 2 Cryptics because it's a good card, but we don't want to draw too many of them. We're not trying to grind too much, so we'll cut one of the K commands. And now there's an argument to just cutting the 4 Delvers and just playing a control game. And I think that's what we're going to want to do here. Alright. We want to keep the Dispels. We have cheap removal. We have counters. So yeah, let's submit and see if we can get there. Yes, we would like to play first. Yes, this is a keep. So we have a lot of lands, but we have a turn 2 Tasigur here, right? So let's just double check. If we play Spire Bluff, we'll mill. Let me see here. We'll have 4 cards in the graveyard, and then we can fetch up a Watery Grave. Yeah, that's fine. It's better than, I think, shocking into Watery Grave. At the end of the day, we're just going to be shocking anyways. And if we play a Goblin Guide here, then we can see if we want to keep the top card of our deck. Or if we get a land with it. Alright, so Goblin Guide. What are you going to reveal for me here? Lightning Bolt. I do like Lightning Bolt, actually. But I think we are on the turn 2 Tasigur plan. So that's what we're going to do. Darkslick Shores. Interesting. So let's see. We can... Alright, we'll go down to 15. But we can get a Watery Grave here. We could have actually saved some life. We could have go Blood Crypt, but I was thinking of landing Cryptic. Alright, so we'll go Serum Visions. Try to get some more removal in our next few draws. Fatal Push is great. Definitely want to see that on top. Kalidas is a good card to be playing eventually. And then we'll run out this Tasigur, which will gum up the ground a bit. And give us hopefully time to take over the board with our Fatal Pushes, with this Kalidas that'll come down eventually. It'll be a good source of life gain because we don't have any counter spells right now, and we know that they have some burn in the form of Darkest Command. We saw Sacred Foundry, so I would imagine that... Oh boy, are we getting Blood Moon here or something? Why are they getting the Forest? Oh, okay, Hidden Herbalist. Sure, so this is Revolt Zoo. It's what we thought. But it only produces double green. So they can't go Surge into... that is a lot of Hidden Herbalist, though. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. I forgot that Burning Atmosphere was green-red. Okay, so are we getting surged here? Oh, is this game? Oh my god. That would have been pretty crazy. Whew. So here I think we're gonna have to say pass. This might just be too slow. That is a lot of creatures on turn 2. Alright. They could just go for it this turn too. I mean, we're in a really, really bad position here. Goblin Guide, okay. Jeez. If they have a Tarkus command, are we dead? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 4 creatures dealing 3 damage each plus 3 to face. That's exactly 15 if they have a Tarkus command. Alright, they give us a Tar Pit. What else did they reveal there? As a Snapcaster Mage. Could be good eventually. We'll go ahead and block the Burning Tree Emissary. Say okay. We'll Fatal Push one of the hidden Herbalists here. And then we'll see what our opponent does. Because if they go a Tarkus command, which I have a feeling they do, yep, that's exactly lethal. Oh, jeez. Revolt Zoo for you, my friends. We really would have liked to have seen like an Anger of the Gods or something there, but not much we could do against this pretty insane draw from our opponent. But that's exactly lethal. I wonder, it would not have been exactly lethal if we would gone for the Blood Crypt instead of the Watery Grave. But at the same time, we wouldn't have been able to. I know we would have been able to. So we would be at 1, not necessarily the best winning position, but we could have landed a Kalitas next turn. We would be at 1. We would be able to block 2 creatures. We would go up to 4 and still take 2. And see, we were drawing Snapcaster, so we can go. Yeah, we were still kind of dead in almost every way. They were just too fast for us. Too many creatures there. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll do a little better in the next game.